Do I have your consent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. What role do you play in your community?
In this community,
Yeah.
my school community,
Yeah.
my most important role is to be a guide for students for their post-secondary endeavors. So students that are wanting to go to college, students that are wanting to go into the workforce, students that are wanting to go into the military, my role is to lead them through the process successfully, and also to try to have students realize their strengths and to improve any weaknesses they have before they leave high school into the real world.
Okay, what is your definition of a community?
Definition of community is when everyone comes together and shares in the improvement of a community, shares in the cleaning of the community, shares in the, the direction and the examples for children in the community. You can have a community of people, but when no one comes together to fight crime, they just let crime go as be, then that's not a community. Those are people living in fear. A community is a community that watches out for one another, keeps the community clean, keeps it safe.
Okay. How have you been impacted by your community, so basically your school community?
Well, I'm impacted by the bravery, the brilliance, the just the the possibilities of my students. I could not do this job if it weren't for the personalities and the individuals that I work with every day. I mean, the students just inspire me to try to help them more. These are students that come from poverty. These students don't have the world, handed to them, and they fight every day to try to succeed, and it inspires me to help them.
Okay. How would your life be different if you taught in a different community, like if you taught out of the east side?
I have taught in an affluent community, and it was two things. One was selfish because the students seemed like they didn't need you. They had so much money, and I was working in a very affluent community, and it was like you'd work with them and do the work, and they just didn't appreciate you. And I just felt like I wasn't making a difference. Like these kids' parents already went to college. The kids were driving more expensive cars than me, so they were already sort of situated, And there were some kids that needed me on the emotional aspects or on the social aspects, but for the majority, they were already handed stuff. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to, make a difference in kids' lives, and I feel like I do that on the east side.
Okay. If you can change anything about this community, what would it be and why?
Well, the first and foremost, there's two of them. The two things that I'd change would be poverty. Once you start having students go to college, once you have students progress and follow their plans, their post-secondary plans to go into, the workforce or whatever, they become they contribute to their community. And when you have that, you end poverty, then the next thing that happens is you have an improvement in your community. So you have less crime because people are making money, so they don't have to turn to drugs or gangbanging. You have better parenting. So those are the two things I would stop. I would like to help prevent poverty and therefore try to stop the crime in this community.
Okay. How do you think this community is viewed by others, and why?
This community is viewed by others. We're on the southeast side. Through history, this has been a dumping ground for the city. We're near Indiana, and a lot of people call it the island. They don't know that it's actually here. Most people, when I tell people oh, we're in the Hegewisch East Side area, they're like, where's that? And the government, the mayor, the city has been dumping stuff out here. We have the trash heaps over here off the Bishop Ford. They drop stuff in the lake. We have all the factories in back of us. And I just don't think people care. It's not near the loop. It's not giving the mayor any, publicity. So we're just seem to be a forgotten area. We have a soccer team that won state and goes to state every year, and yet we still don't have a field that we can play on. It's ridiculous.
Okay. If you think this view is wrong or unfair, is there a way to change how our community is viewed by others?
Well, we just have to keep pushing forward. We have to start having students be more productive as they leave high school. We have to start improving our attendance. We have to improve our GPAs. We have to have students that actually go back into the community after graduating to improve it, right? They can't just move out and just leave this community where it stands. We have to have people come back in and make a difference in it. I think the way this is viewed, I think there's a lot of parts of the city viewed this way. And yeah, it's wrong. You can't put all your money in the loop. You can't put all your money in areas where you think you're going to get the most press.
Okay. All cities have to deal with issues of violence. How does the issue of violence in Chicago compare to other major cities?
Well, believe it or not, we are not the most murderous city in the United States of America. I mean, there's other cities in Ohio and New Orleans and stuff that have a lot of shootings per capita. Here the violence is it's been here since the 70s, you know what I mean, the 60s. Before that, it's been here, and it's just never gotten better, and it's because we have such a disconnect between the impoverished and the rich in the city. Our politics is all through nepotism or through money. People are basically most people are buying their positions in the government. And we need more grassroots campaigns. We need more people from these communities running for governmental positions and not doing it for the amount of money or power they're going to gain, but to do it for change.
Okay. What are the 3 top issues or concerns you would like to address and start a dialogue in our community? If it's in the neighborhood.
Well, we already
peers,
sort of talked about that. The poverty, right? Violence, dropout rate. Just making sure that people, when they're graduating high school, they're well informed of what their plan is. They've improved themselves. They stick with their plan. They don't have what's called summer melt when they go into the summer after graduating. They just don't follow their plan. I think once people start doing that and follow their plan, and they create their careers and stuff, and they stay in the community, they become the social capital for their younger brothers and sisters and their own children to go off and do the same. It will improve the crime rate and the poverty rate in our area. And therefore, too, this area would be looked upon in a more favorable way.
Okay.
We'd be making with changes from within.
Okay. If you were in charge of the media, what would you show? How would you want to change the perception of other people that live outside of the East Side? How would you want to, if you were to create an Instagram or something like that, what would you want to put out to show people how the East Side is?
Well, the East, I would show the pride. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have such a prideful community. The baseball leagues out here. We have, the high school teams around here. We have we have groups. The only thing that's ever shown on the East Side, we have real nice family-owned restaurants and stuff, but, the only thing that's ever shown on the East Side are shootings and the violence and stuff like that. I want them, all the rich heritage that's in this community, history, and everything that's been brought in here by the immigrants and stuff and the people that have migrated to the city, to this part of the city. There's so much for them to offer and share.
Okay. How do you see Chicago in the future? Follow-up question. Is it good or bad, and can it be prevented if you say it's bad? If it's going to get worse in the future?
I think that we brought companies here to the city. Most of the jobs that these companies have come here, I think, have gone to the rich or to people that are affluent. I know Flex and Gate just came to the East Side, which they're hiring people right out of high school, which is sort of good. But we have so much land over here. We have so much area where we could build storefronts and an Amazon or whatever. I don't see these communities getting any help. I just see that, as I said, money is going to go to where money is. And I don't see any of those tax dollars going to improve, just for instance, the roof on this school. They're building new selective enrollment schools, and yet we have a roof that's falling apart and they're not going to give us any. We have a state soccer team, but we don't have a soccer field. We have 26 schools on Monday that had no heat. You know, how is the city getting better when there's no money funneling in? We're supposed to, their taxes are supposed to go here, but by the time it filters through the government, there's no money left.
Right. Okay. What makes the East Side home to you? Even though you don't live here, you still are impacted by like your job here. So what makes it home to you?
The students and families. At Thanksgiving, I had so many emails from students on my CPS email, Happy Thanksgiving, and then all my old students who have like my old Remind 101 or my phone number, who've graduated even 10 years ago, were wishing me Happy Thanksgiving. I have a connection with these kids. I have teachers that I have taught that teach in this building, so that's what sort of makes it home. I know the community, you know what I mean? I know the different restaurants I eat at. I know the different places that we go to for our teacher staff parties, Christmas parties and stuff. I know a lot of teachers that live in this area. So yeah, I feel like I am a member of this area even though I don't live here.
Okay. Thank you.